in our spiritual communities, it's been so difficult, let's put it this way, or challenging to find a space where we can share these spiritual teachings in our daily lives. You know, everything we learn in the Gita, everything that we learn in our tradition, whether you're new or whether you're born into this tradition or you've decided for this tradition, there hasn't been a lot of spaces where we can sort of take these readings, these scriptures, our teachings, and live them on a daily basis, which means, yes, here we have so many beautiful Gita verses and where Krishna instructs Arjuna to live out his dharma and to accept him and to surrender to him, and in a way that applies to us as well. And each and every one of us have an Arjuna's journey of our own, and it's specifically, absolutely specifically designed for each and every one of us. The Gita starts, of course, we know, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And when we're born, I want to make one disclaimer first before I go on. I am not a Vedic scholar, and I don't claim to be. Any wisdom that I have is through my teachers and through my lived experience. I have been gifted with the gift of desperation, with a material life that's been a lot of ups and downs, and I've found a lot of support and courage and change and transformation through the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and the teachings of our tradition, which is a blessing. And my main thing is to give that to others. Krishna Bandhu, Hare Krishna. I see your face. That's amazing. Hello. So what I would really like to go into is, does anyone have any difficulties hearing me? Is my volume too low? Does everyone hear me okay? Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Great. So what I really wanted to do, what we really want to create here is sessions that go on every month so that we can actually look at these things that are getting in the way of our spiritual life. Maybe some emotional challenges or struggles or any kinds of loopholes that we have in our daily lives, things that keep coming up, maybe some anxieties or whatever it is that we have. What I really want to offer is a place where we can look at them and we can share about them, and or not, where you can hear about them, where we share. Well, this would be our community, and I'm really looking forward to offering this to everybody, because I think our spiritual teachings are, if they are not used accordingly and properly to how our teachers meant them to be used, then they don't mean anything to us if we're not using them. We're handed this toolbox, and if we're not using them to build, then I don't know what the point of all of it is. So that's what I'm here to do. And before I do that, I'd like to actually invite anyone here to just introduce themselves and just say, if there's something that is there one thing that you might be struggling with at the moment that you'd like to, it doesn't have to be a big thing, it could be just a really small thing. You can just unmute yourself. If not, I can definitely just go into, because I have enough of them and I don't have trouble sharing them, because when I share them, other people can learn. Okay. So if there's nobody who'd like to share, that's fine. I'll just go right into some of our teachings. Let me share some screen here. Okay. So before we start going into this, what I would really like to know is who here is familiar with the Bhagavad Gita? Just put a thumbs up. Raise your hand, a thumbs up. Okay, so I would say that's probably most of you. That's important to know. Okay. People are asking me to increase my volume, and I don't know why it's not there. Is it better when I'm speaking louder? Yeah? Okay. So then I will speak louder. Okay, so in the Bhagavad Gita, right now where we're at, and I'm going to say why this is so important, these verses. You know, Arjuna and Krishna are talking at the moment, and it's chapter 2, which is a summary of the Gita. And Arjuna says, let's first do the invocation prayers, just so can. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation, similarly, one who is Krishna conscious has his particular nature: talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, as a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased, or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man is transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad Gita. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. For speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. And certainly, as a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and of matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow, as stated below. 255. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Oh, Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be pure transcendental consciousness." So I think let me go into the next. One who is not disturbed in the mind, even amidst the threefold miseries. or elated when there's happiness and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady mind. How many people here want to be a sage of steady mind? I would love to be a sage of steady mind. Yet I'm constantly disturbed by my own mind. I'm constantly disturbed by what's going on in my material existence. You know, if I think about what I can't even control whether I go to the bathroom or not. We have our urges. We are material. All of us are material. We're material manifestations. We are not spiritual beings. We are spirit souls in a material body. Being caught in this material body, we are very fortunate to have these difficulties come along. And the reason why I say that is we have the gift of desperation. When we feel like we're powerless over any kind of emotion that comes up, any kind of struggles that we have, whether it's a struggle with our own frustration with our own life, the way it goes, a struggle with a relationship that we have, struggles with our own mind. It's all about, for me, it's all about the gap that I have or the lack of trust. That is all measured. As far as I'm disturbed, it's as measured as close as I am to Krishna. The closer I am to Krishna, the less these material matters bother me. And that can only happen if I am concentrated and I make conscious decisions on a daily basis to connect with the divine. If I'm connected with Krishna, the pockets of time that I spend entangled with the mundane thoughts that I have and the entanglements that I have in my daily life become less the stronger I'm connected with Krishna. And I don't have to read the whole Bhagavatam and all of the readings. Of course, I do it anyway. But there are very small things that I can do in order to do that, like decide on a daily basis when I wake up in the morning, is it going to be me, Krishna, and my thoughts and my will and the way I want to do things, or is it going to be your thoughts, your will, and the way you do things? Am I going to surrender to you, Krishna, today, or am I going to surrender to my own senses? It's really that simple. And it's not about, we can't always just read and get education. We have to practice these things. The moment I realize that I'm making a decision and not including Krishna in that, not including the divine in that, when it's all mine and I get into a moment where I'm either anxious, I'm either scared I'm going to lose something that I have, or I'm scared I'm not going to get something that I want, or I'm in anxiety about something else, it's because I'm hanging on to some attachment and I'm not including Krishna in that mathematical evaluation. My life on my own, making my own decisions from my educated mind, that can get me into a lot of trouble. What Arjuna and Krishna are talking about here is Arjuna's asking Krishna, what does that even look like? What does that look like? What does it look like, somebody who's a sage of a sound mind? What does that even look like? And Krishna starts to explain to him what that looks like. And I think I didn't share my screen last time, but this time I'm going to do better. There we go. Sorry. It looks like this, that one who is not disturbed in the mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, are elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, anger, is called a sage of steady mind. How do we get that? What do you guys think? Let me ask you something. What do you think? Do you think that we can work for this, or do you think this is mercy from Krishna? What do you guys think? Write it. Write in the chat or unmute yourselves. I need to have a volunteer. Let's do this. Unmute yourself. Both? Both. Combination. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what would that work look like? Do you think the work would look like just keep on reading the scriptures only? Oh, Zoom doesn't let us unmute. Okay. Can Govardhan Echo Village, who's right now doing this, can you allow everyone to unmute? Yes, action is required. Pamela says service. Kishori says action is required. Surya Radhika says both also. And Dominica says combination, both. Yes, that's the truth. We do it by all of these things. Yet, if we don't do the footwork, and it doesn't have to be a rigid, it can be if that is our heart's desires. That's what Krishna, if Krishna will grant us what it is that we want, he'll mirror what it is that we want. In our relationship with him, he reciprocates. It's just a mirror. But it can start with just a moment of quiet reflection. What does it mean to be disturbed? Do you guys think that being disturbed is only when is being disturbed only negative? Let me ask you that. Are your feelings, your emotions, your attachments, are they only disturbing when it's negative? I really want you to think about that question. You can write it, please. Yeah, those are great answers. Kishori Rani Devidasi says, we only see the negative side of it. Yep. Pamela says, I would say no. Mahaprabhu says, even elation could disturb. Dominica says, no, when I'm feeling really good, sometimes I forget all about Krishna. That's another thing. Absolutely. And here we have it. Here's the conundrum. We think that perhaps only the things that are negative will disturb us. Neri says toxic positivity. Yeah, there's that too. But as the moment that something good happens or something beautiful happens or that we're elated, that's like what Mahaprabhu says, the elation about something, we become attached and we want to own it. But what's on the other side of that? It's a pendulum. We attach to the good things. We're attached to the bad things. Some of us are attached to bad things. I lead a whole nother community called the Bhakti Recovery Group. And a lot of us are seriously negatively attached to certain things as well. You can't only, we're conditioned in a certain way. This is our conditioning. Here, Varsha Bhavani, Devi Dasi. When we think about negative, we name it disturbed, but when we think about the positive, we name it excitement. Yes, exactly. And all of these things can be disturbing. The thing is, how do we go about our lives in a Krishna conscious way? And not even in spite of our emotions, but with our emotions, using them as a tool. The thing is, half of us, most of us, I would argue probably 99% of us, don't know what's going on with us all the time. We just don't, because we're too busy just doing stuff and performing the things. I mean, we're not consciously doing a lot of things, are we? I love how it's like Krishna consciousness. We're not even conscious about how we, I'm not conscious about even where I put my telephone. I have to look for it 10 times a day. So if we're not conscious about the things that are disturbing us, and conscious and really just sort of looking at them, and I'm not talking about morbid looking, I'm talking about just looking at them and observing them and understanding that these emotions at this moment is getting in the way. There are attachments, and they're getting in the way of my connection to Krishna, and they're keeping me attached to this world and what the world has to offer. Is there anything? Yeah, we don't do any self-introspection, Kishori Rani Devidasi says. Yeah, it's hard for us to do self-reflection unless we take the time to do it. And it's so important. And it doesn't mean that we have to constantly be thinking about ourselves. That's not what that means. It's a very simple thing. And after our session today, I'll give you a couple of things. We'll put it in the chat. I have a WhatsApp chat. I'll put the invite link in the chat for the WhatsApp chat. And then we have like a reflections chat as well underneath the announcements chat. And I will be putting like reflections for the month, what you guys can do until our next session. And it's really important. It's important to become conscious, not only Krishna conscious, but conscious of how we react within this world and how we can do better with really simple things, just simple tools. How many of us here, how many of you guys have one or two things that keep coming up that sort of irritate you about yourself? Please put a thumbs up. How many people have that? And it's a continuum. It's something that's always coming up. It's kind of the same thing. It's like a pattern. So important to know this, and so important to know what that is. And morally important is not just chanting on top of it. We do our sadhana, we do our chanting, we do our service, do everything, but really to take the time to look at that. And it's so important. And you ask yourself, what am I attached to in this situation? What is the attachment? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of losing something that I have? Am I afraid of getting something I want to have, not to get it? So just like I would encourage you to just sort of notice what's going on in your mind. Arjuna asked Krishna, basically about the qualities of a wise person, and Krishna definitely describes that to him. And sometimes, when Arjuna asks Krishna about the qualities of a wise person, he begins to describe somebody who's just not really pulled around by his desires, or his fears, or his happinesses even, or his distresses. When we have like really strong emotions or some sort of disturbances with happiness or sadness, we can always just one moment, we can stop, place our hands on our hearts, take a slow breath, and we can just connect. We can just remember Krishna for that moment, just for that moment. We can consciously connect with him, and then we can offer that situation offer it right back to him. However, a little teeny prayer, Krishna, please, I am keeping this situation. I'm keeping you out of this situation. I'm keeping this situation I'm holding on tight to the situation. I am involved in the details or whatever it is. I'm anxious. I'm holding tight onto something. I'm not letting go of this. I invite you, Krishna, to come into this situation, and I offer this to you. It's so simple. We can do that any second of any day. We can do that on the subway to work. It's not rocket science. We can consciously connect to him and gently offer our situation. Even that one little brief moment can change that experience or that situation that we're having, just that one little moment. Some things shift when we do that. It can be subtle, and it could be very very awakening. It can really shift the way we think about things. So does anybody have any questions, or how do I unmute you guys? Did Govardhan Echo Village do this? Let me see. I'm going to try it with you, Dominica. I'm going to try and ask you to unmute. Doesn't work, no?
Yes, it works.
Very good.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, can you unmute anyone else? Can you just unmute?
I think you have to request them to unmute.
Okay, so is there anyone who'd like to share, or at least just ask? Does anyone have any comments or questions about what I've been talking about? If just raise your hand and I will unmute you. Okay. Okay, there you go. Kishori.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Rani Devi Dasi.
Yeah, I'd already put it on the chat, but I'll say it again. We have learned that if we can't love others, we can't love Krishna. Now, this sometimes poses a challenge, as it may not be possible for us to love everyone in our lives. So, how do we go about it?
That's so very easy, and so very hard. It's so simple and yet so hard. The simplest thing is, Kishori, that is a wonderful question, and I'm really glad that you've asked this question, because basically when we walk around life, it's like a huge mirror. Every single person is a mirror. When we truly can see that each and every individual is a spirit, soul, and part and parcel of Krishna, and that we are actually no different from anyone else, and that just this material body is the most temporary thing, and that we love the person. We might not love the personality, but we do love that soul. And it could be that each and every person that we encounter, even if they get us aggravated, even if they get us upset, even if they give us joy, no matter what it is, that person is put there for a specific reason in our life. It's like we have this expression in Christianity in the States. It's like, don't hate the sin, don't hate the sinner. No, hate the sin, but not the sinner, right? So we might not like the body of someone else, or their mentality, or the way they're conditioned, or whatever it is, and we might not agree with them. But to learn to know that each and every one of them remind us of a part of ourselves that we don't like. I'll often ask myself when I encounter someone I don't like, and that happens quite often. Not that I don't like them, but it happens quite often just about people, just in general. I mean, I live in Germany. I'm from the States. I live in Germany. There's a lot of, like, politeness is not a huge German thing. So sometimes I get kind of triggered. You know, people are kind of rude, and they're very direct and very forward. And I really, first of all, I tried to pray, and I say, where have I been direct? Where have I been forward? When have I been rude? And I can guarantee you it's been so many times in my life that I've hurt people unintentionally. And I really believe that each and every one of us is so loved by Krishna. Each and every one of us has our own specific anarthas, our own specific conditioning, our own specific karmas, our own specific prescriptions of how we can get through this life and improve ourselves if we're looking. And if we don't look at ourselves and our reactions and the way we do things, we're not going to go very far. It's so important. And it's a decision. We have to decide to love those people. We have to decide to love them. Sometimes we have to say, stop it, brain. Stop fault finding. Stop criticizing. Stop it. And that's really important. It's so important. Is that a good answer, Kishori?
Yes, Mataji. But the thing is, at least I'm speaking for myself. I haven't reached the stage of Pandita Samadarshana to see everyone equally.
Equally, yes.
I haven't reached that stage as yet, so it's a bit difficult.
Of course it is. It's difficult and it's difficult and it's going to get difficult. And it was difficult and it will be difficult. But we still do it. And we still exercise it. And we still try. And we still aspire. Because that's all we have. If we can't be here and we can be here, then we can be here in a very good way. And we have to understand this is where we are. And that acceptance is so important. Here I am. Here's the goal. Here's the bar. Here's where I should be. I'm not there. I'm here. And I'm working to the best of my ability with what I have. And this is so important, to the best of my ability with what I have. So just keep trying. And there's little teeny things you can do. You can stop in the day, especially, you can't say, Krishna, I want to love this person right away. We have to first learn how to be neutral before we can love somebody. That's a huge leap. We don't like something and then we have to go and try to figure out how we're going to love something. If we hate it, we have to get neutral first. We have to get to that level first. We have to take baby steps. And baby steps is just self-reflection. You see something, you want to criticize someone. We want to look at somebody and say, oh my God, I hate this. I hated what this person did. I hated how they treat me, or I don't like the way they do business, or whatever the complaint is. And I've got freaking millions of them if I want to, whatever that complaint may be. You have to stop. Just stop and just say, okay, I don't understand what's going on, but I have to let go of that. I have to let go of that attachment. That's an attachment. Having an opinion on somebody's conditioning, on their I'm not Krishna. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? It's so important just to get to that space of stopping my own mind first. And then maybe I can start to learn to love. But first, I have to get there. First, I have to get some self-appraisal, self-assessment. I have to understand where I'm at. And I have to have some awareness. So, yeah, that's where we can start. Mahaprabhu, I love your name.
Hare Krishna, Jivaji.
Hare Krishna.
I really liked, and I'm curious about understanding what you mentioned, that you've been gifted with desperation. And from my own experience, desperation can make you do things which you may feel grateful for or you may regret. And before I dive in deep in asking my question, I wanted to tell you that I've known you from your presence in social media and also from your podcast that I've heard about you. And I've known about your work that you do in Bhakti Recovery Group. And when I heard about this community's name as Bhakti Discovery Group, I have this curiosity of understanding how different would it be, and or is it going to be similar, so that I know how much I can step in and open up.
That's the question. The first question. Well, the first
Yeah.
question, you can open up as much as you want. That's up to you. I'm here. I'm holding,
Yeah.
I am here. I am very 108% here. So you can open up as much as you'd like to. That's however you feel comfortable. Of course, with details, and you know what I mean. Of course, with
Sure.
in a certain respectful way, of course. But that's up to you how vulnerable you want to get. I think I really want what I really would like for the Bhakti Discovery Group is so that every devotee, every person who's trying to get a better connection and get a better relationship with Krishna, is to have some sort of self-awareness of attachment. If we don't have that awareness of those attachments, we can't release them. Because if we don't know that they're there, how are we going to release them? I mean, Krishna will eventually release them, but it might take lifetimes. And this is a way to kind of get on a faster track, to really just sort of look at the things that are in the way, name them, you know, and in the sessions to come, we're going to talk individually about like fear. We're going to talk about resentment. We're going to talk about happiness, joy. We're going to talk about all of these things. And we're really going to go into these. I didn't want to do for this first session, I didn't want to do any breakout rooms because I want people to get comfortable first with the topic. But eventually I'd like to get a little more intimate. But that's all up to you. And everyone can be as intimate as they'd like to be, or as anonymous as they'd like to be. This is the most important part of it. So yeah, it's not the same as the Bhakti Recovery Group, because in the Bhakti Recovery Group, we really deal with, you know, more specific topic.
Yeah, thank you for that response. Also, if you could speak a little about desperation.
There's so many forms of desperation, and actually I think that most of us don't even realize how desperate our situation is. I mean, I see mostly here, if I'm looking at the names, I see mostly, not mostly, but a lot of devotee names. So I'm going to get candid. My volume is low again. How about that? Is that better? I guess I have to start yelling at the camera. Okay, so I'm going really deep at the moment, and desperation. Let's talk about that. I think that is a wonderful question. Does anybody know this book? So these are all of the poems and bhajans from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has never, I mean, he had a pretty decent life. He didn't, you know, he didn't grow up eating garbage on the street. He wasn't, you know, he was an educated man. And he had materially everything you need in order, you know, he went to school, he had a family, he had all of those things, but he understood his position from his standpoint. He understood his position. So actually, I would love to read one of these to you guys, because I read one of his bhajans every morning. Desperation. So, Gopinath, oh Gopinath, please remove the burning torment of worldly existence. I can no longer tolerate the pain of ignorance and the cycle of repeated birth and death. Oh Gopinath, I am the servant of lust. The desire for mundane sense enjoyment has awakened in my heart and has ensnared me with the noose of fruitive activity. O Gopinath, when will I wake up and cast the enemy of lust far away? At that time, you will manifest within my heart. O Gopinath, you certainly know everything, and you may now punish this servant of yours and kindly give me a place in your at your divine lotus feet. O Gopinath, is this your judgment, that upon seeing him who is averse to you, you abandoned your own servant without bestowing even a drop of mercy upon him? O Gopinath, I am indeed a great fool, and I have never understood what is good for me. And this is why I am in such a state. O Gopinath, you are indeed the wisest person and will search for the means to bring auspiciousness to all fools of the world. Do not consider this servant an outsider. So let's take that. Now, this is a man who chanted 64 rounds a day, had 10 kids. He was a scholar. He was an incredibly busy man, incredibly educated, incredibly surrendered. And he still felt desperate in this body. He had to give everything in his life to Krishna, everything. He was a servant of the servant, and he knew his lowly position. Now, that is understanding our material existence. Desperation is a tool for us to turn towards Krishna. It is the gift when we're in distress, especially when we're in distress. What is the most common thing that most people say? Oh, God, help me. We have this thing in the West where we say foxhole prayers. They're called foxhole prayers. They came from the war, where people who weren't religious would go into a trench and they would start to pray because they don't want to die. That is the gift of desperation, because we do truly then turn to Krishna. But aren't we in that position always, no matter how good we think we're doing? Aren't we not? Is it not that? Desperation is another tool to get closer to Krishna. Happiness is another tool in order to get close to Krishna. Depression, anxiety, fear, courage, hope. Everything is a tool to get close to Krishna. Everything. If we choose so. And we're all so busy suffering in our own little worlds, like little cats playing with the toy in front of us. When if we really, 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 really just sort of zoom out of our own situation, our own little minds and our twisted little thoughts and our conditionings and our karma and all those other things that play a role, it's so complex. If we are able to tune out and zoom out and look at really the position that we're in, and moreover, after that, if we give our lives to Krishna, how beautiful that really is. How real relief looks. Relief doesn't look like, oh, I got this job. Yes, of course, that's a temporary relief. You know, you get fired, you get laid off, you get a new job. It's like this, always. It's like Dominica just wrote. It's always changing. The material conditions are changing. The weather's changing. The night and day is changing. We don't have control over anything. We think we do. How many people here can have to go to the bathroom and can hold it and never go to the bathroom? You have to at some point. Mahaprabhu, Charan Das.
From a spiritual point of view, I do hear you and I get it that we may think we are at a good position, but there's always this state of desperation that we can recognize. However, as much as conscious we can be in a given moment, and if not, we're generally chasing for stability, for generating comforts of our life, for having resources of our life which we can access when needed. And as we are striving for creating that kind of stability, it kind of gets difficult and challenging to be reminded of that spiritual context of desperation from that standpoint. And I'm just sharing my thought that, I think that if we put ourselves into that, recognizing that desperation, then it might keep us vigilant more than required.
I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. We don't always want to stay in a state of desperation.
Mm.
And we don't always want to have that feeling of being desperate all the time. That's not something that is like, I wouldn't say like, oh, you're happy, get desperate. Don't be happy, just get desperate. That's not something I'm saying here. But I am saying is when we do feel that desperation, use it immediately. Use it. Use it. Use it in a call and a cry for Krishna. Because it's an opportunity. Just like happiness is an opportunity. If we're happy, how many people here do something great? Okay. How many people, let me ask, raise your hands. When you've done something, let's say you've done something, you've achieved something amazingly. How many people thank Krishna the very first thing is you give it to Krishna. You thank Krishna and you know that it's Krishna's mercy. How many people here do that? Beautiful. Now, how many people, when something terrible happens, tragic, do the same thing? How many people say, thank you, Krishna? Thank you, Krishna, for the reminder. Thank you for the reminder. And it doesn't matter. This is the thing. Krishna is infinite. Krishna is infinite. That means no matter what mood I'm in, no matter what I have, no matter what I think, no matter what I feel, no matter what I'm doing, Krishna knows, and he knows where to pick me up. It's not about, hey, I'm great, or hey, I'm not great, or hey, it's not about that. It's about being conscious of always knowing that without Krishna's mercy, none of this could be even tolerable. Tinika, what does Tinika write? Tinika writes, sometimes, mostly, sorry, I have to put this up on things. Sometimes, mostly, it's more like asking if this is also Krishna with the bad things. Yeah. And here also, Kishori writes, we unfortunately don't feel the desperation all the time in our lives. No, we don't. Thank God, or not. I mean, it is what it is. I can only tell you some of my most beautiful moments of connection in Krishna was through complete despair. And I look fondly back on it, fondly, because I knew I celebrate it now. But that's only something that I can do in hindsight, while it's happening. I've learned now, I'm pushing 60, friends. So I've seen a lot of things, done a lot of things, and I'm starting to learn slowly that while it's happening, even the desperate times or the bad times, it's all going to be, it's all an offering. My life is an offering. How do I make my life an offering? How do I do that? How do I make my life an offering? By offering it. By consciously offering it. It's so simple. And most of us are so caught up in doing this pujas and we're doing all of this stuff. And it's almost like a separation between our real lives and our spiritual lives. It's not separate. A puja is not separate. It's an offering. We're offering at the altar. And we're offering to give Krishna things. We're giving him everything. We give him the incense. We give him the rose petals. We give him all these. We're offering every day. Gaura Arati or Mangala Arati, we're offering. But we can also put ourselves on the altar of life every single day with our feelings, our emotions, everything. And if we don't make a habit of doing that consciously, we're not going to do it because it's not separate. And this is what I'm learning more and more. It's just not separate. You can't separate our daily lives with Krishna consciousness, because that would be like, oh, okay, well, I'm Krishna conscious now while I'm doing my puja and while I'm chanting, but everything else is like my thing. How many people here sort of, not intentionally, but how many people do that? You have to be honest, be freaking honest now. Think about that. Yeah. I think most of us do that. We see the separation, but it isn't separate. And that's what like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. When am I going to get that? When am I going to stop being so selfish? Enjoying these things with fruitive activities, all of the things that I'm doing. When am I going to include you, Krishna? You know when I'm going to include Krishna is when I include Krishna. Krishna is merciful because Krishna will crash my party too sometimes. Krishna's like, oh no, you do not. No, not like this. He'll crash my party. But I can invite him every day, every second of every day. Come on, please, Krishna. So I want you, you know what I want you to do right now? I want you to take one moment, every single person here, just really just take a moment, grab a pen, a paper, or your phone, whatever it is, grab a pen, paper, or a phone, however you want to take your notes. And I want you to ask yourself that question now. Am I including Krishna in every day, in everything in my life or not? And I want you to think about one thing. If it's not like that, one thing that you can do to include Krishna in any of your daily activities. One simple thing. And when you're done, it would be really nice if you could raise your hand and share what you wrote if you're willing to do that, because this is how it works. This is an interactive program. I really encourage everyone to unmute and also turn your cameras on if you can. Oh, I should repeat the question someone wrote here. I asked, have you been separating yourself and Krishna consciousness? Do you separate your sadhana from your regular life? And if so, how can you take one thing and make them one? How can you like offer yourself? How can you invite Krishna into that one part of your life? How would that look for you? Raise your hand when you're done, and or put a thumbs up when you're done, and I invite anyone to share. Please. Who raised their hand? Don't see you.
Needy did.
Okay.
Hare
Nidhi,
Krishna.
Krishna Nidhi.
Thank you so much. This is such a lovely session. I'm enjoying it. I actually include Krishna in everything that I do because I need him. I can't do anything on my own. It's almost as if I'm a useless person. So anything that I do, I will include him in it. I will say, Lord, I'm doing this today. Please be there with me. Or Lord, please just give me the strength to do this or to say this or whatever. So Krishna is always with me and I'm always relying on him for everything. So I include him in everything in my life.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Nidhi. How do you do it?
Well, if anything that I'm doing, I will say, I can't do this, Lord. Please help me do this. Or if I'm going to talk to somebody, I will like, please put the words in my mouth so that I know I won't get angry or won't happen. I just always ask him for his help, and in some ways, sometimes he doesn't help me, but then that's when I realize that's what I need to learn on my own. And but most of the time he's there, and I feel his presence, and yeah, I include him in my life. I can't do it without him.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And what made you, if I can ask, how is it that you're like that? Did you have situations in your life where it was difficult, or were you there's so many different people who bring people to this decision in order to really be able to decide that they want to do that? Was there a situation, or you've just been like that?
No, I've been through a lot in my life with losing like family members, and it was like one after another. And there were times in my life when I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I was like, I need some sort of a help. I can't do this on my own. And the association that I have were not contributing towards my welfare in any way. I felt like they were just, the friends that I had were just not understanding me. And I've always been a spiritual person. And so I just turned to Krishna. And he pulls me through everything.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you, Neri. Thank you for sharing that. I hope you still stick around. This is how communities work. We learn from each other. And it's wonderful that you're here. So thank you that you're here. Yeah, the gift of desperation. That's what Dominica says. I posted the WhatsApp chat in our chat now. If you'd like to join, there will be like prompts and just little exercises you can do until our next session. So you can join that WhatsApp chat and join us. Divya, Rupini, Devidasi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I hope I'm audible. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
it's a little botchy, but I hear you.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, first of all, I really like to thank you for this beautiful group that you have formed, and it's really very hard, mindful thing which we are into here. And about the question which you asked, so just before I get into it, I'd just like to introduce myself. I myself is a student of psychology, and I've been studying a lot on emotions and everything. But there's a lot of difference when you do it for the people in general, and when we talk about devotees, there's a lot of difference in the goals which we are aspiring and for the common people. So, about the question is that when I took psychology as my subject, I am studying in the first year of my college in psychology. So when I at the start took this subject, it was with the thought of that, okay, in this way I would be able to help people, and maybe in some way or the other help them with themselves and their personal growth. But in the process, it was so that was in a way that okay, if these people are connected to Krishna, they are part and parcel of Krishna, so I'll help them. But in this in the course of some time, there have been this procrastination which has come. So okay, just I'm so sorry for being just a college student complaining about I'm not able to study. But yeah, just I was contemplating on the same thing. But there's a lot of procrastination which came in, and the point where you say that what is that one thing which you are separating yourself. But it was really, know, uh, something for me to rethink on that. Why did I start at the beginning, and now I can actually, you know, uh, put those things together. And even I would like you to share your thing about this. Even in our spiritual practices, we sometimes or the other, I face this thing of procrastination. And the time when you just now mentioned about the patterns, the which are troubling you in our spiritual practices. So procrastination is one of them, and I truly struggle with that a lot of times. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Divya. That's really important. And I think a lot of people struggle with that same thing. And I really appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your openness. This is something that's so important. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Procrastination, especially in material things, it's kind of annoying. It's just like there's so many things that we like to push aside. But whatever it is, and that's your specific topic, right? Where you said that that's your specific topic. That's something that's getting in the way of your. It's important that when it comes up, to stop for a second. When you notice it, that's what I'm saying. Stop. Put your hand on your heart just for a second and say, what's going on right now? What is this procrastination? What is this that's going on? Why am I doing this? And just observe that. And I'm, actually text from the Gita, the text 254 all the way to 257 can give you a lot of support in that. I like to turn to text like that, just so that I can so that I can have some sort of support, that I know that, like, okay, this stuff is just, it's even written in the Gita. It's not specifically me, it's like, it's in our scripture. It's all there. There's not a problem that we have, an anartha that we have, that the Gita or our teachings doesn't have a solution for or an answer for. It's all there. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or thoughts that they'd like to share? Should I please repeat the verse? Yes, I will do that. Let's get into the verses again. Let's call one moment. Right. Here we go. Let's see if it's that. Okay, let's get into the advanced version. And I'll just read without the purports. Bhagavad Gita 254. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, what are the symptoms?" Wait, I'm going to get this little picture out of the way. There we go. "Oh Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence, in transcend. I'm sorry. How does he speak?"
Transcendence.
Thank you. Transcendence. My German is right in the way right now. How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Oh, Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be a pure transcendental consciousness." And when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone. You see, in the self alone, but that's after that it's been purified, after the fact. That implies that it's already been purified. That's what it says, thus purified. Find satisfaction in the self alone. Then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, anger, and is called a sage of steady mind. 57. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Now I'm going to just read the purport on this one. There's always some upheaval in the material world, which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil, because this world is full of dualities. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in a perfect transcendental position called technically samadhi. So this is quite significant. Says quite simply here that there's always going to be an upheaval in the material world. There's always going to be disturbances. There's always going to be agitations. And it's not going to be because it's just evil. It's going to be good and evil. And as long, and that, if you're in Krishna consciousness, you'll know this. And as long as one is in the material world, there's always the possibility of good and evil, right? So we're always, we experience this. This is fact. There's always going to be something good happening, always going to be something bad happening within ourselves, within our communities, within the world, within the nations, within everything. This material world is full of dualities. But one who's fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by this. Because we do see, maybe it's the very start, the very seedling, the little seedling of saying, I'm offering it all to you, Krishna. I am your servant, Krishna. I'm offering all of this to you. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in a perfect transcendental position called technically samadhi. Now, I would never claim to have that even keel level. I would claim that that's what I want. I would claim that I really strive to understand. And how do I do that? By offering it all to Krishna. All of it. Each footstep, each breath. When will I finally be at the lotus feet of Krishna and stay there and not get disturbed by everything else? So this is beautiful. And this is the most beautiful place that anyone can be is to be in that knowledge of not being affected by that. And we can start by being aware. That's what I said before. We need to be aware. We need to be aware of where we're not Krishna conscious, where we're not steady, where we are affected, and why is it affecting us, and how can we just sort of do little things to just first become aware of it. And as we progress, we start to release those things. and not hold on so much, and they don't become so much of an attachment, but we need to address them first. So let's start there. Let's start with just some basic awareness. That's all we have to do, is start with some basic awareness. Yeah, Mahaprabhu, but the offering often comes after being agitated. Of course, but that's also a learning curve. When you get older, you start knowing that. And even you forget it. You forget it. Sometimes you forget it. Sometimes you don't. It's a pendulum. I'm in this body. I can't control when I'm thirsty. I can't even control when I'm not thirsty, when I'm thirsty or not. How am I going to control anything else? If I'm sick, I can't control that. There's so many powers greater than myself. Kishori writes, if in certain situations we do become unaffected, we are sometimes blamed for having a don't care attitude. Well, nobody can blame us if we don't blame ourselves. We wouldn't care if someone blames us if we don't blame ourselves. I mean, either we are certain in situations. We're certain of being unaffected through purification of Krishna consciousness, not through callousness, not through material callousness, or not through not caring. But if it's truly that, then it shouldn't matter what anyone says or if anyone blames you. That's not the point. It's really not the point. That shouldn't affect us either at that point. So what I would like is now just to open it up again quickly for any other kind of feedback, and then we'll close out. And I hope you guys all join the WhatsApp chat. I will be posting things in there. I think it's important if all of you would, if you join and you'd like to be there, it would be nice. We have two chats. One of them is just I'm trying to get it here. One of them is just our announcement chat, and the other is a chat so we can exchange. And I will be putting like reflections or little tools that we can use through the month until we meet next time. And if anyone has any questions or comments or anything during these next weeks until we meet again, please put them in the chat. That's what it's there for. Don't be shy. Do not be discouraged. If you're struggling with something, just write it. One of us will get back. I will definitely be keeping my eye out on that chat. So you're welcome, and I can help you in any way. And we're also here to help each other in any way. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm grateful for all of you, and I'm grateful that you all showed up. So again, are there any comments or questions before we leave? Would like to express that I really appreciate your initiative and look forward to the resources that you're going to share and are also our next session. Thank you. Mahaprabhu, that's very kind of you. Mahaprabhu Charandas, where are you from, may I ask?
I'm from Mumbai itself. I live in Mumbai.
Oh, amazing. I was there just recently. I love Mumbai, one of my favorite cities in the whole world. I really do love Mumbai. Thank you. And please, everybody, I encourage you all to come again. Let's end this just like with a moment of silence. Let's just take a moment of silence, kind of, and then say a little prayer, and then we'll end the session, and we'll meet again. We will know when our next session is. We'll let you know about the dates on our WhatsApp chat and of course, on social media when our next session will be. It won't be longer than 3 or 4 weeks from now. We're doing one a month, one Sunday a month. But because we started a little bit late this month, I'm not sure if we're going to be doing the first of the month. I need to talk about that. The first Sunday of the month or the second Sunday of every month. So, all right, let's take a moment of silence. Okay. Thank you, friends. It was wonderful being with you. Thank you for showing up. I'm really happy to see you next time. Like I said, please don't be shy. Write in the chat, and we will meet next month. Bye, Krishna. All right, bye, everyone.